Hi everybody, Will Wildcard here. Just making a small video. I have a pretty big prediction. It's actually more of a calculation. I have plenty of friends of color, and this is not, uh, I don't want anyone to get sick or anybody to get hurt. And I think it's pretty important to point out something that's obvious to me and maybe a lot of other folks too. I live in an area that borders on wealth and poverty. And I will tell you right now, the way I look at it, I think black people in this country will be in bigger trouble than anybody else. There's a couple reasons why. It has nothing to do with skin color, by the way. It has everything to do with demographics. It has everything to do with um, living conditions, such as members in household. It has a lot to do with economics. Um, it has a lot to do with public transportation. It has a lot to do with people in urban areas sometimes feel like they don't have as much to lose, so they're not as careful sometimes. And this goes for poor white folks as well, or poor folks of any sort. Um, and so you're going to see a higher proportion of the black community suffer with this disease over the long run. This is my calculation. I don't think it's a prediction. Um, Now, when I go into an area, when I work into an area that is, um, let's say, well to do, these folks are inside. They are not congregating, they're not out and about, and they're protecting themselves. They also have the advantage of probably savings or income, and so they don't have to go out to make money or they don't have to go out for public transportation. So there's more protection. People of color quite often are more vulnerable because they have to take public transportation. Um, Economically, you know, they have not caught up with everybody else, regardless of what the reasons are. That's not important right now. What's important is socioeconomically, people who do not have as many resources are going to suffer at a higher proportion. I have plenty of black friends. I love them all. And people who I don't know, I love people in general. It's not a matter of color for me. It's a matter of identifying that there is an issue here and it is going to come to pass. And I hope nobody thinks I'm a racist for saying this, but I do feel that there are people who have advantages and people who have disadvantages, regardless of the reasons why. The people who are economically disadvantaged will suffer more, regardless of race or whatever or background. There are plenty of poor folks who are white who will suffer as well, and people of many different nationalities or races will suffer. If you don't have a lot of money, you're more exposed. You know, if you don't have a lot of money, sometimes you have to double up on housing, public transportation, the laundromat. Heck, going to Walmart. Going to Walmart, a lot of poor folks go to Walmart, and that's like the worst place you can go right now because everybody's touching everything. Everybody's rubbing elbows, and there are a lot of people who are wearing masks now, but there were a lot of people who weren't before, and there are a lot of people who still are not. And so I hope that I am wrong about this. I hope that I hope no one else gets sick, but I fear that I'm not wrong. And so, uh, what I would really say is if you are of an economic status and you don't make a lot of money, you're just as valuable. Take care of yourself. Wear your mask. Wear your disposable gloves. Carry hand sanitizer all the time. Tell all your friends. You know, this is going to happen, and some of this can be prevented. You know, there were rumors going around not that long ago that black people can't even catch this because black people weren't catching it. It was supposedly a Caucasian disease or an Asian disease, but it doesn't know any barriers. And the reason why people of color will get affected more doesn't have to do with color. It doesn't have to do with race. It has to do with socioeconomics. It has to do with culture. And, um, make it part of the culture everywhere for everybody. Wear your gloves, wear your mask. Don't go out if you don't have to. Take your shoes off before coming inside. Disinfect your shoes by spraying Lysol or even um, alcohol. Take all the precaution you can. Wipe the doorknobs. Be careful. And again, this isn't a prediction. This is a calculation. This is my observation. I can go 20 blocks the other way, and people are milling around, and they're acting like it's no big thing. And by the way, I also went to a white neighborhood today, and there was 5 or 6 people just hanging around, and these people had money. So there's no excuse there. That's just plain carelessness. So it doesn't really matter who you are. You can be affected by this. But again, I feel strongly that everybody should be aware that the black community is going to suffer more. And it's not a racist thing. If somebody is not wearing their mask or gloves, tell them, hey, you know what? You really ought to think about wearing the gloves and mask. It'll protect you. And I've been yelled at by people by saying, hey, look, you're too close to me. I would prefer if you stayed 6 feet away. In fact, I yelled at somebody the other day for not abiding by that rule. And there's no time for being polite now. You need to tell people 6 feet away, please. You know, if you're a person of color, you've got a lot of people in your community who haven't taken this seriously, but soon they will. And why not take it seriously before it affects other people? So it's not the young that's going to get sick as much. It's the older people. And you see a lot of young, foolish people running around. Well, mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, they're going to get this. And you don't want that on your conscience. So go over the line, cross the line. And it doesn't matter if somebody's white or black. Say, hey, wear your gloves. Where's your mask? Or hey, 6 feet, please. I have an expression called 6 feet, dummy. Somebody yelled at me for saying that. I'm like, hey, you're violating my space, and that could be a matter of life and death. So I hope this doesn't come off as too heavy-handed, because I have compassion for everyone. I don't want anyone to get sick. I don't care if you're a white or black, Asian. You're an American. Or if you're not from this country, you're a world citizen, regardless of your background, regardless of your religion, race, or what you are. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. Remember, a lot of the people that are going to get sick nowadays are going to get sick within the household. You're going to get it elsewhere. Somebody's going to get it elsewhere. You're going to bring it back to your loved ones. So I hope that you all take care. I hope that everybody does what they can to stay safe. Remember, bide your time. Wait this thing out. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. If you have to go out, wear your gloves and your mask. Carry your hand sanitizer. Wipe those handles. Insist that people keep 6 feet away from you. That's important. If you look at Australia, they don't have that many cases. Maybe it's because it's a big old country and everybody's all spread out. So that might have something to do with this. Social distancing is probably pretty important. And that's another thing. I would say that black folks are a little bit more tactile than white folks. They're a little bit more hands-on. And unfortunately, this is not the time to be hands-on. And I notice a lot of my friends who I hang out with in the past, not so much lately. Hey, the space thing is people cross the space line quite a bit more in certain communities. The Italians are the same way. I have Italian blood, and people come to weddings, or they go to social gathering or come over, and everybody's kissing each other in the face. And I'm not saying that's why people in Italy have this, but Italians have big families. And that's one of the underlying things here. The people who have bigger families are more exposed because sometimes maybe you're in and out of the grocery store and you've got your gloves and mask on, but somebody gets it and then it goes into the family. There's not, how many people have we seen, sisters or mothers and daughters getting ill? You're going to bring this stuff home. So protect yourself, regardless of what your background is. Protect yourself. And if you don't think it's cool to wear a mask or gloves, um, it is cool because you'll live. And that's the most important thing. You've got people, this peer pressure, there's a lot of peer pressure among every group. Let's just hang out, blah, blah, blah. If you're a fraidy cat, this is the time. This is the time to be a fraidy cat. Stay inside if you can. Bide this thing out. There's going to be a vaccine or there's going to be different ways for our government to protect us more. They say they wanted 2 weeks. Now they extend it to a month. Don't be surprised if it doesn't go for several months. We have to be patient. If I didn't have to work, I wouldn't be out at all. Not one bit. I would stay in my room for 6 months and I wouldn't sweat it one bit. Be patient. So, again, I hope I don't come off as judgmental because I'm not, or I'm not trying to be. I guess everybody has a little bit of judgment in them. But I can go 10 blocks this way and 10 blocks that way, and I can see the behavioral differences. And that's what this is going to come down to, is behavior. Even if you are careful, if you're of lower economic status, and believe me, I am, you are at more risk. So the public transportation, coming in and out of certain grocery stores. Again, I think Walmart's one of the worst places to go. I go to some of the smaller stores and I try to wait until there's nobody around before I shop. Sometimes you can't get away with it. But when you're on public transportation, when you share a household with many members, you're as strong as the weakest link in your household. If 9 of you are behaving the right way and one of them's acting like the fool, that one can bring it home and all 9 of you can be affected. So it's real important to abide by these rules. Wear your gloves, wear your mask, hand sanitizer. Keep 6 feet away from everybody. And if you can stay in, stay in. And take your shoes off and disinfect your shoes with either Lysol or alcohol. Don't bring those shoes inside. Make sure they're disinfected and wipe those handles off. So, God bless you. God bless America. God bless this world. And if you can, just enlighten somebody. When somebody's wearing a mask, say, hey, you're doing a good job. Keep wearing that mask. If somebody's got gloves on, say, hey, you know what? I noticed you got gloves on. It's okay to wash your gloves too. Have that kind of conversation with somebody. We have to encourage one another to do the right things. If somebody's in your space, pipe up. Hey, 6 feet, please. Most people will respect it. I had an argument with the lady the other day, but you know what? She knew she was wrong and eventually she backed down. I called her a lot of names. I made a scene. However, it was worth it because now it's in her head. Hey, I got to do this. I told her it's the law. It wasn't the law then, but it is now. By the way, in San Diego, they're giving tickets out to people who are breaking social distance. I think that's a great idea. It's a great idea. Maybe if you get a $100 or $200 fine, you might think differently. Maybe you won't think about somebody's life, but maybe you don't want that $100 fine. It's probably worth it. So, I guess I've rambled. I care. I hope you care. And have a great day. Have a safe day. Take care of each other. Bye-bye. My name is Will Wildcard.